What you need to know, Africa's debt grew from an average of 30% as a ratio of gross domestic product to GDP in 2010 to over 60% currently, while the most developed countries have a debt to GDP ratio of less than 40%. So, what does it tell you? It tells you that between 2010 to this 2014, 14 years later, African debt grew by 30%. Yes. So, even before that, these so called donors say it was donor, it was not still donor. At the end of the day, it is an under table bribery or an indirect bribery that give them a certain ultimatum or bought them a certain right to be able to dictate for these countries they say they are giving the so-called donors, because these so-called donors, they don't go to countries where they have nothing to profit out of it to give their money. So it seems that they are now beginning to understand by giving it as a donor, they don't have more right. Going to lend money to these countries will buy them more right. And it is quite pathetic and it is not funny that some African countries are falling woefully to it. Because if somebody is lending you money, why must you be giving them control over your vast mineral resources and giving them control over your vast export markets? That's not right. Yes, because in future to come, this money most of these African countries are borrowing from all these so-called donors of the past who are now turning to lenders. The consequences will be heavier that some of the African countries will need a stronger generations to be able to come out of this. We can already see what happened in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. Yes, it took a younger generation sitting at the helm of affairs, strong men, to be able to cut ties with these so-called lenders, donors, lenders, or former colonial master or pre-colonial masters. Why is it that some of our African leaders, not all of them, why can't we think about the coming generations? Why are we so self-centered, selfish, egoistic? We don't think as a patriotic people. That is why our continent is lagging behind. We don't put our countries first, because when we put our countries first, we will be forced to put our people first. And when we put our people first and our countries first, then we are putting African continent first above every other continent, above every other people. Yes, that is why you see that Africa is the most richest continent, but yet the most exploited continent, the most poorest continent, the most backward continent, because it's as if our some of our leaders, they are cursed that the things they come, the healthcare system they come overseas to enjoy, sending their children abroad to have quality education, is as if they are so wicked that they don't think that the average Africans in their countries deserve such right based on the overwhelming natural resources they have been blessed with. In Africa, we don't have leaders. What we have are criminals in powers. Because that is the reason why you see that any leader that is rising in Africa that has no cockroach in the cupboard, that is a claim politicians, is very difficult for you to see that the West will support them. They need leaders to be at the helm of office in Africa, corrupted leaders, dirty leaders, leaders that they have a bait on their head, or they have something they can use in pushing them or manipulating them to give them that which they so desire at all costs, and to the detriment of their people and their countries. That's why you see that countries like Russia, India, China came together and formed the BRICS for them to be able to de-dollarize or ditch the US dollar. How many countries do we have in this world? How can one country's currency be holding other countries' currency under ransom? That the economic crisis that is affecting that country is affecting their money, indirectly reflecting in the lives of the other countries that are trading with their money, and affecting their local currency, affecting their economy, and affecting the whole world in general. For how long, African leaders? Will you continue to trade on this path of wickedness, selfishness? Is it bad for once that if you begin to build on infrastructures, implement policies that will make life easy for African citizens and your various nations to navigate through life easily, for your people to be able to at least enjoy a little of the massive natural resources they are blessed with? If the resources Africa has is being in proper use, our youths will not be dying in the numbers they are dying in the Mediterranean Sea. Our people will not be taking the risk they are taking to go through the deserts or the sufferings they are suffering in some of these countries in search of better lives for them and their citizens and their families. While some of you sit there, you embezzle money, you send your children abroad, you spend money on women, lavish money on luxury lifestyle, while your people die on daily basis. Some of you in your constituencies, in your states, you are not even in touch with the modern day realities of what is happening in your constituency, your local government, or your state, and you call yourself a leader. How do you people even sleep at night? Do you sleep with your both eyes closed or with your both eyes open?